BarbacoaCore.
What is up, everybody? Thank you for checking out a new episode of the BarbacoaCore Podcast. I am your host, Patrick Huerta. Thank you very much for listening. I do appreciate it. It's going to be a good episode. It's a great episode. It's an awesome episode. Have my homie on it, J MENDEZ. He is not only is he my homie from ways back, he's a filmmaker, he's a writer, he's a ghost hunter. He's a host, not a host, he's the host of the Fermentation sessions. He's also the host of the Paranormal Journal, both that you can find on YouTube and the social medias respectively. Yeah, so we'll get into that in a little bit. You could follow the podcast IG at BarbacoaCore. Stay in the know about what's going on with the podcast, all the good stuff. You can follow me on my socials, Twitter and Instagram at your homie Pat. That's where I'll be. And that's where you could stay in the know about anything going on. I don't really have anything going on right now. No, that's a lie. I have one show that I will be a part of this Friday, which is the Black Friday. Or not? Is it the Black Friday or just Black Friday? The Friday after Thanksgiving. That one. I will be doing some time on the Big John show, which is at the Roxy Theater off Callahan, I believe. Don't have this stuff. Don't have the information. I don't prepare for these intros. But, yeah. I think the show's sold out. I think. But follow Big John on Instagram and stay in the know about that if any tickets become available, so you could jump on those. Because it's going to be a packed, socially distanced, packed house. You know, that's an oxymoron. It's going to be a packed house social distantly. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. Look, here's the thing. This past weekend, everybody apparently got a alert notice, update, if you will, about the numbers in Bexar County. The numbers of the coronavirus cases in Bexar County. Right? No. Wrong. I didn't get one. Nor my wife got an alert. Why did we get left off the list? Who's out to get me? I do take it personal. Take it very personal. Of course, I don't want to be bothered by alerts. But also, I don't want to be the only one not getting the alerts. Everybody got alerts. Everybody that I know of got alerts. And that's how I found. Secondhand. I take that very personal. Don't know why we got off the list. I mean, we get alerts about, stuff going on in Dallas, stuff going on in Houston, Corpus, whatever. Plus places that don't concern us. I'm not saying we're not concerned. We wish all the safety and all that good stuff to anybody who may or may not be in harm's way. Please get home safely. Whatever, But if it happens in Bexar County, we should know. We should be told. We should be notified. And we weren't. And finding out that we were the only ones not notified, I got beef. Who do I need to talk to? What's up? What did I do to you to not get notified about the numbers in corona cases? Anyway. So that happened on Friday. If you got that message, you did. I didn't. Found out about it through Facebook, where I get all my news. They keep telling us, Facebook's ruining your life. You're spending too much time on Facebook. If it wasn't for social media, I wouldn't know anything. Any current events. Because nobody tells me directly. I'm not angry. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Yeah. So let's get into today's episode. It is again with my homie J MENDEZ, filmmaker, writer, ghost hunter, musician. I'll throw that in as well. He's a musician. He is the host of the Fermentation Sessions, also the host of the Paranormal Journal. This was a fun time. I'm gonna be up straight. I'm gonna be up front with y'all. I know nothing about ghost hunting. I know nothing about paranormal. So if my questions seem a little bit softbally, so be it. It was still a fun episode. I had fun catching up with the old homie of mine, getting down to with what he's doing, what he's up to with all the stuff. Asking some questions. Hopefully they're good questions. Hopefully you're entertained and informed. This is for your infotainment. Hopefully this is a good one. Thank you for supporting the BarbacoaCore Podcast. Like, share, subscribe. 5-star reviews on whatever platform you use to listen to podcasts. I hope you're staying safe. I hope you're doing good. Thank you for listening again. I don't know how many times I've said that already, but I do mean it nonetheless. Here's my conversation with J MENDEZ. Please be safe. I'll check in with y'all next week. All right? Laters. Give it up for J MENDEZ. What's going on, man?
Thanks, man. Good. Thanks for having me on again. I love this thing.
Yeah. How you doing? You're surviving? You're keeping your sanity?
Yeah, man. Made it through the quarantine. Still making it. I was fortunate enough to, stay employed with the company I'm working with. So I had a good little 2 months off, which, I took advantage of, was spending time with the kids and the wife and stuff. But I learned how to make cheap wine and everything and beer and stuff here at the house. So that was pretty interesting.
You were making your own wine like you're in prison?
Yeah, dude, it was like basically prison hooch, basically.
What were you using? Like, were you using legit stuff, or were you?
YouTube. It's the gate to everything. So being on YouTube 24/7, I was like, oh look, this is how you make homemade wine. So basically, just 100% pure grape juice and so a packet of yeast. I went to a place here where they sell everything you need to do to ferment and make beer, wine, cheese. And you just buy a simple packet of yeast, wine yeast, and some sugar, and just basically pour it in there, shake it up, and let it sit in a cold, dark, or not so much cold, but room temperature closet in the dark for a good month. And there you go, you're set.
A month?
Yeah.
That seems pretty sketchy. It doesn't seem like it doesn't seem healthy.
No. I mean, you would think so, right? Like that's what I was afraid of, because you start smelling it, and you're like, I don't know about this. But no, man.
As a kid, a lot of food stayed in my room well over months, and I wouldn't have eaten it or drank it. I mean, who knows, man? It may have been a good trip, Yeah.
No, it actually, that was my big worry too. Like, that first time I siphoned it out of the bottle and put it into a new bottle, and you see all the yeast at the bottom, that everything that at the end of the process, you basically have some gunk at the bottom of the bottle, and you're supposed to siphon that out. That's all the yeast that ate up the sugar and everything that went to the bottom, and you're afraid of sucking some of that up and then drinking that. What's going to happen if you drink that? But no, the first bottle I made didn't do anything. It tasted pretty good actually, and then the second batch I had made. Me and my wife drank that one night, and dude, we were recovering the next day. I mean, it jacked us up. Like, it was no joke.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like basically like drinking moonshine.
Now, why would you want to be making your own? Like, the liquor stores never stopped. They were always been essential. They never closed down. Like, I could understand like making your own clothes because stores are closed or something, but liquor stores were true the whole time. They held the ground, Why would you want to make your own?
It was straight up boredom, looking for something to keep yourself busy. Like I said, the quarantine. I mean, we're getting those Trump bucks in the mail. You know what I mean? So we were like, oh, I got all this extra money. Let me go play and buy stuff I really don't need. So I went to that place that sells all the stuff, and I bought the siphon. I bought the all the stuff to clean the bottles. I bought some bottles. I bought all the hose. I mean, I bought a bunch of stuff. I bought the barometer to measure the alcohol content, and it was basically just trying to learn and keep
Yeah.
myself busy. And it was pretty cool. And I just, one batch that I made was making about 3 bottles, and that's one bottle of grape juice, and that's like $1.89. The packaging piece is like a little under $2. So I mean, I made, I don't know how many bottles of wine when one bottle of wine's a good, I mean, decent cheap bottles, like $12-13, and I was making, 3 bottles for under $5. So, it is what it is.
So it's funny how you use the stimulus money to buy stuff you don't need, and then you're going backwards. You're like, I'm saving all this money
Yeah, dude,
by doing it myself. Like, you understand like how that's kind of backwards a little bit?
Well, check it out. Well, into my next transition. So I have this money, and so I'm like, dude, I'm still bored, and being a paranormal investigator, like being a ghost hunter back in the day when I was younger, before I got really into music and everything like that, and then just starting to work full time, I had started kind of giving it up. It's something I've always loved and still wanted to do for the longest time. And sitting there bored, well, you spend more time at your house, and things are a little more quieter, and it's just me, my girls, and my wife, my dog. And the more time we spend here every day, not leaving the house, we started hearing things, and I started kind of seeing things in the middle of the night, and I was like, And then, me being, having that history and stuff, I was like, dude, I want to try to see if there's something in this house. I was like, So I'm on YouTube watching all these things, and I find that, the industry, that industry itself has just skyrocketed with, all these shows, ghost hunters and, ghost adventures and stuff like that. So I basically just went online. I saw, man, there's all these new shops and there's these websites that sell all these cool tools and these kits. And I was like, well, I got money. I was like,
okay,
here we go.
Yeah.
So I told the wife, and she was like, oh my God, here's another one of your crazy ideas, right? She was like, all right. So, and that's what I love about my wife. She backs me up, she's 100%, she's got my back. So she was like, go ahead, it's just sitting there anyways. I was like, girls don't got to go to college, so,
Yeah.
So I just invested a few dollars into it and bought some really cool equipment. And, the funny thing is, the first time I tested it, my wife was totally against doing it here in the house, but she was having a few drinks one night, and she was like, hey, I'm hearing stuff. Go get the stuff. And I'm like, oh shit. All right, let's do this.
Yeah.
And we went down to the garage, and our motion sensor on the garage door was going off, and it kept clicking. And we're like, what the hell is that? Why is it doing that? And, we started recording an EVP session, which is like electronic voice phenomenon, trying to record, asking questions, seeing the voice or something would answer back. And we did this EVP session. And if you go to our Instagram page, you'll see it. It's one of the first posts we post. I'm asking, can you hit the garage door again? Or is that you moving the garage door again? And then you hear a voice, and keep in mind, my wife knew not to say anything. She stayed quiet. I was the only one talking. And it sounds like you hear a woman say, hit something. And I was like, so, we at the time we didn't hear it. After we finished doing the little, EVP session, we went upstairs, and I plugged the audio, the card into my computer, raised it full blast, put it into Audacity, the sound program, and raised up the decibels. And sure enough, when we heard it, we just like looked at each other like, holy shit. Like that was a voice. Like we heard a voice, and she freaked out. She's like, I'm fucking going to bed. And she just went upstairs, and I was like, all right, cool. And little by little, we start hearing more things in the house, and it's actually quiet down a little bit, but there's still some stuff happening. But that's where I transitioned. I was like, well, hey, we're not doing anything, and we're doing fermentation sessions, but we're on a downtime with that because the breweries are all kind of closed right now and stuff. So
yeah,
I was like, let me get into this, and that's where the Paranormal Journal started.
Cool, man. Also, before we get into it, plugs. Let people know where they could find you, where they could find all your everything you got going on, social media, all that stuff. Go ahead and give it to them now.
Yeah. The Paranormal Journal, it's the Paranormal Journal. We're on Facebook and Instagram. You can find us on there. And that's basically the paranormal investigations page that I have, and the show that I started on YouTube as well. And we're on YouTube. I'm sorry, the Paranormal Journal. And then we also do. We're bringing it back. We're starting to get things into motion again. Is the fermentation sessions. So you can, and that's where we go to local breweries and talk to them and see how they run things. And we try to bring in local artists, musicians, and bring them into the breweries and actually have like a little intimate one-on-one session with them, either acoustic or however they want to do it. But just really trying to bring out the local scene, especially local craft beer community, and supporting them. So we're going to get back into that. And you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at and on YouTube at Fermentation Sessions TX, if you look for us on there. So with that, you can also find us on on email, if you find Fermentation Sessions, it's fermentationsessionstx@gmail.com, and then the Paranormal Journal Show @gmail.com. So those where you can reach out to us. And if you go to Instagram, that's probably the best place to find us. We have all our content on there. Message us, we get back to you.
What about your movie pages? Do you have anything for your movies?
So no, with that, it's basically Hypnotos Productions. That's my little movie page that I have. That, man, we took massive downtime. I still write. I'm still working on one more show. Our last one that we did. If you want to look it up, you can find my page. It's on Facebook, J MENDEZ. If you want to email me, it's writerjmendez84@gmail.com. But Hypnotos Productions is where you'll find that on Facebook, and you'll find us on YouTube. I don't have an Instagram for that just yet, but Writer J Mendez is my page where you can see some of the updates. But it's more of a personal page, but I post things from time to time on there as well.
Yeah. So talking about the movie stuff and the writing stuff, did the lockdown, did it help motivate the writing now that you have more time, or is it like the idle hands is the devil's playground type of thing?
Both, completely both, man. There was days where I was completely motivated, and then there was days where I was just, I mean, there's weeks where you're just like worried. I was just worried about having a job again, with kids and stuff. But at the same time, there was those nights, man, where that homemade hooch kicked in, and I was like, oh, let me get to writing, or let me get to writing, and you start getting some psychedelic ideas. You know what I'm saying? So I did a lot of writing and a lot of thinking, and like I said, that's kind of where the Paranormal Journal Show came into play, and everything like that. But yeah, there was days where, yeah, man, full blast, like the boredom kicked in, and I was like, hey, I need to take a time to really motivate myself to write and get some new ideas down, and which I did, like I said. But other ideas spurted, and then it just seemed easier to get that done than the actual filming. Filming is extremely hard to do during the whole quarantine. Even still now, it's really hard, and it's hard to get actors and people to get close range and do scenes and stuff. You don't want to put anybody at risk, and I don't want to feel responsible for it, especially since it's just a small little independent thing that I do. So I don't want that on my conscience. So
how is your writing sober, and how is it drunk? Like, do you write good after a couple of drinks?
Yeah.
Is it good or well? You're the writer. You tell me. Do you write or do you write gooder?
I could. I feel sober. You don't think as much, and it's crazy, but I feel you don't think as much, and you're not. For me personally, and this is probably bad to say, but the more drinks I have, the more I get into the zone, and I start just thinking and having more creative ideas. I feel like when I'm sober, I'm just stuck there with writer's block the whole time. But then they get to that point to where, like, you drink too much, and then next thing you know, you thought you were writing, and the next thing you know, you're in the weird part of YouTube, surfing these channels you shouldn't even have gotten into, and you're just like, wait, how did I get here? And then you try to go back to writing, and it's like, I want to go back to watching this video, and so you get distracted really easily. So there's a balance, but I feel like my ideas are a lot more creative when I'm drinking, to be honest. So.
Yeah, I can't, like, for jokes and stuff and like bits and premises, I don't write well when I'm drunk. I'll post some stuff here on Facebook every now and then.
I love that shit when you do. It's funny.
But like the last one I did, I was like really drunk, and I haven't really been drinking every now because I changed up my diet. So if I drink a little bit, like, it just sets me off like real quick, real hard. And so the last one, I just saw like a cookie commercial. Like, it's a cookie commercial, and the cookie had a face, and it had a voice, and it had a charming personality, right? So I was like, I can't believe PETA is letting this happen. And I laughed my ass off. I posted it. I was proud of it. I laughed my ass off. And then, like, after 5 minutes, I was like, that makes zero sense. No sense. It's nothing to do with, like, PETA doesn't care about fucking cookies. So, yeah, and there's so much of that drinking, and I'm like, oh, man, this is all just garbage. I can't get anything done when I'm drinking too much.
It's funny that you said that, because I have a shirt and I saw it and I was like, dude, I need to buy it. And I bought it online, and it has a bottle with it's like a bottle of whiskey, and the glass is tilted over, and it says, write drunk, edit sober. So yeah. I love that shirt. And it's like, dude, that's totally me, because the next morning I'll go back into my, to the script or whatever I was planning or writing my ideas, my notepad, and I'll look at it and I'm like, dude, what the fuck is this? Like, what was I even thinking? And I'll start scratching stuff out, but then I'm like, oh, but that's really good. I want to keep that. I can mold that into something else. And it's just funny going back to it the next morning. It's crazy. I believe editing sober, you have more of a conscious mind, and you can kind of develop your ideas a little bit better. But I feel like my idea is the main part of the idea. The whole body of it usually comes when I'm drinking. So
Yeah, so I don't write too much. I have this digital voice recorder because like
Mhm.
I used to record stuff on my phone and then I would just forget to save
Yep.
it or erase it accidentally.
Same
So
thing. Hmm.
I'll talk into this thing drunk and then I'll go back and listen and write. But to actually like write and think I'm going to come out with something good
Hmm.
from being drunk, it just doesn't happen for me. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I've heard that plenty of times. Write drunk, edit sober,
Hmm.
which makes a lot of sense, because you're looser, you're more inhibited,
Yeah.
your ideas are flowing and stuff. But at the same time, you're talking about a cookie with a face and pita,
Well,
like
yeah.
that's nothing. Like that is you
Yeah.
got absolutely nothing there, you know.
Yeah, I think with comedy, probably it's a whole different story, though. I mean, because you have to have that. It has to make sense. If not, nothing's going to be funny about it. But I mean,
Yeah.
I totally get that. Yeah.
Or I mean, it has to make sense, or you could just be completely silly. Like I haven't tried it on stage, the cookie pita thing.
Yeah.
The idea that I thought it was funny is more funny to me than the actual cookie face versus pita
Yeah.
thing. So, but I don't know. But yeah, drunk me doesn't work. But so it's funny that you mentioned how you were hearing voices on that recording
Hmm.
because not only are we recording the Zoom meeting thing, but I'm using my Zoom recorder.
Yeah.
And the first time ever that has happened inside, I'm getting radio frequencies on it,
Hmm.
and I don't know what would be picking it up. So that electronic recorder that you have that picks up voices, how do you know that it's not a radio signal coming in? Like how can you know what I'm saying?
So a lot of times, and that's the funny thing. So that's the thing with ghost hunting. It's really a belief system. It's really on what you truly feel and believe.
Uh huh.
There's plenty of skeptics out there, and that's understandable, and I totally get that. And it's not a proven science. It really isn't. There's nothing proven about it at this point. There are things that are coming into play that are helping it become, a little bit more of a fact-based, science. But the EVP thing is more of it's an old school technique, and you don't know. And the funny thing is when you listen back to these things, you try to eliminate every single possibility that it could be,
Uh huh.
besides it being a ghost, or an entity, a spirit, whatever you want to call it. And it's just the way it sounds. It's honestly, like, you can tell. So we use these things called spirit boxes. There's one that I use from Ghost Stop called S Box, and what they believe is that spirits use their energy to manipulate radio frequencies sometimes, and they can speak through them, kind of like a bumblebee. You know how bumblebee talk through the car radio, kind of thing.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
Kind of like that. That's the best way I can describe it. But they believe that they can manipulate these frequencies and talk through the audio on the waves, on the radio waves, and a lot of people believe that works. Me myself, I have the tool. Do I use it sometimes? I feel like that one's kind of luck, coincidence can be that you ask a question and that right moment that voice kicks in, and it's from a commercial on a radio or something. You get the right answer. It's like, oh my god, everybody freaks out. I do believe that it is possible. I don't believe nothing is possible, but you want to eliminate every factor. So when you listen to the EVPs and you hear back to them and you listen to what it says, sometimes you can distinctly make out what it says. A lot of times it's truly what you believe. And what I do is I go back and I have several people listen to it without even telling them what we asked, what we said, and just
Uh
let
huh.
them hear that one clip. And I'm like, what do you hear? And I get different opinions, and just trying to see it, because a lot of times if I say, oh, it says this, and you hear it, your mind automatically is going to think, oh my god, that's what it says.
Yeah.
So I try my best to get more opinions before I actually put it out there and say this is what it is. Just because I want to be as fact based as possible. I'm not going to try to fake anything and just to get views and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But it could be. Who knows? That's the thing. But I believe that you do hear voices. You do hear things coming through that audio sometimes, because it's just funny how you don't personally hear it at the time, but then when you play it back, you distinctly hear something. So that's just the weird thing. So when
Yeah.
you're listening to yours and recording it, do you hear it while you're recording?
No, no, no. It was just right now while I was setting up the levels and all that stuff. I was
But you
like,
heard it though, right? Like it popped in.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
very obvious, but it was very obvious that it was a radio commercial at
That's
the
my
time.
way.
I
You
mean,
can
radio
hear it.
station.
Yeah, and you can hear it. So with these, they don't sound anything like that. This is like straight up, like you either hear almost like a whisper, or you hear a straight up voice. Like you hear,
Uh huh.
there's no no static or no white noise in the background. It's just straight up voice. And that's the cool part about it, is like, dude, nobody was talking during this point, and why did that voice come into play? And it's answering the question, or it's saying something relative to what I was talking or asking
Yeah.
about. So it's pretty freaky. So I mean, like I said, we eliminate everything. When you're conducting an investigation, you're writing down everything that's happening at that moment. So if you kick a box or somebody sneezes or says something, you write that down at the time that you wrote it down, or you say it on the recorder, such and such just did that or whatever. So that way you know that you don't mistake it for something else.
Do you have a set checklist of like this is what this is what it's not, this is what it could be, like, you know what I mean? Like if bad cell signal,
Yeah.
you know, like what is your elimination process when it comes down to is this an actual voice or is this something else?
Basically just like I said, going into it and annotating anything like that. That's what we do is we annotate everything that we are doing at that moment. So we make sure batteries are fully charged. We make sure there's nothing else on. Phones are turned off. If there's a radio in the area, we make sure that's turned off, unplugged. Like we do everything to eliminate any kind of disturbance that's going to go into our equipment. Because we don't want that affecting our final investigation in the notes that we go into. So it's basically, there's no set checklist. It's a matter of where are we? We just look around the place. We make sure we just analyze where we're at and what's around us, and then going from there and just seeing what we need to do to eliminate the process, the elimination process of what's around us to make sure we don't get any kind of disturbance from the stuff around us.
Yeah. So the Paranormal Journal, that started because of the quarantine shutdown, like that's when you kind of like got the time to grow this idea, or was this something in the works before?
No, it was during the quarantine, to be honest. Like I said, I've always loved ghost hunting. I did it when I was younger. I did it for a long period of time, but then I stopped, one, because I didn't have the money. Two, because it's just the timing, the timing was off for me. I wasn't able to, go out and do it anymore, but I still kept up with reading and things like that, and books and following people and pages and stuff like that. Not in depth, but yes, like I said, we were here at home for the longest time, every day, not leaving. And our floors in our condo here, it's like very they're wooden floors, so any step that you take upstairs, you can basically hear it, like distinctly hear footsteps downstairs. And if the dog gets up and moves up here, you hear it, like you can hear somebody clearly walking. And we've been here plenty of times to know what the footsteps sound like coming down the stairs, everything. And so there's moments where we're all downstairs, me and my two girls, my wife and my dog, and we're sitting there and, we hear somebody walking upstairs, and I'm like,
damn.
My wife looks at me and I'm like, look at her, and I'm looking over. I'm like, oh shit, well, the kids are there. I was like, where's the dog? Dog's right there. I'm like, who the hell is walking upstairs? So, there's me going upstairs, checking the rooms, clearing the rooms out and making sure there's nobody in the house. And dude, it just started happening more and more. And I think we just noticed it a lot more because we were here all the time. And, it's not pipes, we distinctly hear the freaking walking. There's no pipes underneath us on this area, under our bedroom and stuff like that. So it just started happening, footsteps, the dog waking up in the middle of the night and just barking down the stairway. Sometimes it could be raccoons, who knows, but just little freaky things like that were happening. And I was just like, dude, I just want to see if there's something in the house. So of course my wife was, like I said, against it initially until she had a few, but yeah, man, we got that. And then, we have the SLS camera, which is basically the Xbox Connect camera hooked up to a tablet that maps out. It uses the lasers that map out any kind of figure. And if there's a human or any kind of human figure in front of these lasers that basically map out the person, it creates a stick figure. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but it creates a stick figure. And
like a silhouette type of thing?
No, so how when you played like the Wii games and all that, well, the Xbox Connect basically shoots out these infrared green lasers that they're like dots, like little dots that map. So if something gets in the way of that map, it'll map you out. Like the lasers map your body out, and it creates a figure person on the screen so you can see. And that's the easiest way to describe it. So I bought this SLS camera, and I first day I used it, my daughter tells me, hey, Dad, she comes up and asks my wife, she was like, did Dad go downstairs with me? And she was like, what are you talking about? She was like, was Dad coming down behind me trying to scare me? And she's like, no, your dad's been in the restroom the whole time. And she's like, are you sure? And she's like, yeah. And she was like, I heard him walking down the stairs behind me, like heavy footsteps. And I was like, well, holy shit. Okay. So at that time, I got the SLS camera and I started playing with it in the house. Of course, wife gets pissed, but I'm like, dude, I just got to see. And sure enough, man, it maps out a person standing outside my daughter's bedroom while my daughter's in the room. Like it was really crazy. And it's distinctly just standing. You see the stick figure just standing there in front of the bedroom in the dark, and it was just nuts. And there was nothing there to give it the impression that there was a person there, because sometimes you can get something in the camera's view that may map out a person because it has almost the shape of a person. Like if you have like a coat stand or something, a long tall coat stand, it might map that out because it looks like
Yeah.
there's nothing there in that hallway, dude. It's just a wall, and it maps somebody out. So that was the crazy part about it too. So just little things like that. And I was like, dude, I gotta get back in there, and I want to start, documenting these things and going and finding different places and just make a show out of it. I want to get back to doing filming and stuff like that. And I, creative wise, I just thought it'd be really cool. Still make it entertaining, but at the same time, not trying to fake anything. So
Yeah. So you live in a complex, or you live in like in a single family home? Like, what is it?
it's a complex. It's a condominium complex. So
Okay.
it's like just a giant apartment, basically. It's like a really big apartment.
How old's the building?
Yeah, it's pretty old, man. This is one of the oldest. Yeah, it's a pretty old complex here, man.
Oh yeah. So have you looked at the history of that? Like
I
what
tried.
did they?
I didn't see any. Yeah, that's the first thing I did. I was like, oh, I wonder what's going on here. I haven't seen anything so far, to be honest. I don't know how exactly old this place is, but I did look up the history, and I didn't see anything that looked like anything crazy happened here. That's one of the first things I did. Yeah, but nothing. I didn't find any history to the place.
Now, what is your theory on that? Like people, not people, but spirits kind of stay in their homes or in a place that means something to them, or they could travel anywhere and make like settle down, like well, quote unquote, settle
That's the
down
thing.
anywhere.
And I don't know, like, there's different types of hauntings. There's there's the residual hauntings where they basically, sometimes they believe that the spirits are here, like they're just reliving their past. They're reliving moments in time. They're
Mhm.
repetitive ghosts. They just keep reliving that moment. That's why they say when you're out at Gettysburg, or you're at the Alamo and you see that cowboy walking through the courtyard, or you see some like a ghost reliving its actions, or the ones that are walking through walls. They say that because at one point in time that wall wasn't there. They don't see that wall there. They see what they saw during their time.
Uh-huh.
That's why you see them walking through walls. That's why you see them going, in areas or floating in areas that aren't there, because at that point in time, that nothing was there at that point, or whatever we're seeing wasn't there.
Wow.
So that's one theory to it. But there are the ones that, they're spirits, that the ghosts that, were recent and have been here, and they're here either with unfinished business. They feel like they're watching over our family members and people. So, I've heard plenty of stories of, of my family members being seen by somebody who's a medium, and they have that power to see things and see spirits and people that have passed. And, I've heard that people have seen my mom, I've heard that people have seen my aunts and stuff like that. So it's pretty crazy. I mean, like I said, without it being a proven science, we really don't know. But those are just the theories that have been thrown out there over time.
Yeah. Now, could it just be like that you want to see that person, or they want to have a sighting by them, or they're just thinking about them so much that
Like
memories and
manifesting.
images come up? You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it could be a manifestation. I mean, like I said, it could
Yeah.
be, it could be your own mind telling you that that's what you saw. One of the biggest things that a lot of people see are shadow people. A lot of
Uh-huh.
people think, oh, I saw a shadow person. But, if you look at the peripherals, how many times have you sat here and then you turned your head real quick because you saw something moving on the side, because of a shadow? Could have been a silhouette from a car outside passing by your window and, seeing something. It's just a matter of, a lot of people sometimes believe more that it's something when it's not. And sometimes people have a hard time letting go. So there's universities that actually speak to this stuff. And I was going to take a class this past like 2 months ago or a month ago on
Mhm.
parapsychology. There was a class, an online class that was taught in England, and they basically, parapsychology, it teaches you how sometimes traumatic events in people's lives cause them to start, experiencing these things. And they're trying to link paranormal activity to actual, just your own mind causing these things to happen. And you
Yeah.
the biggest role in it, and having these things happen because you're thinking it's happening just because your mind's so messed up from certain things that have happened to you in the past. And I really wanted to take that class because, like I said, I want to dig into all aspects of it. I don't want it to just be like, oh, that was a ghost, and oh, I heard
Yeah.
something, and that's not what I'm about. I really want to learn the science part of it, and just the part that we see now, that's the scary and eerie part of it. So
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what you would call yourself, a ghost hunter, believer, sightings, a believer, whatever, a non-denier or whatever you
Yeah.
would say. But and this is a sincere question.
Yeah.
How much do you think ghost hunting and mental illness kind of intertwine? Like you kind of touched on it a little bit. Like
Mhm.
people are just seeing things of their own mind, their minds playing tricks on them or something. Like
I want to say that people, man, to be honest, I think it's a huge chunk of it, to be honest. I think there's a show that it's on TV it's called Evil. And I freaking love this show because it plays so much of that. It plays so much of that. And there's so many explanations that they debunk. They debunk so many things that people are experiencing because a lot of the time it is a mental illness. Like, people that think they're possessed, people that, think that they're hearing things or seeing things. I mean, they might be schizophrenic. I think in the world, I mean, I want to say I'd say anywhere from 50 to 70% of the things that happen in the world are probably because of mental illness. And that's just the number I'm throwing out there just because, a lot of times that's what it is. It is mental illness, man. And
see, and I respect you saying that because you do believe in this stuff. You do
yeah.
think that you are seeing these things. You do think that you are finding these things.
Mm-hmm.
So I respect that you go like, like there's some people that are just like out there crazy. Is
Yeah.
there anybody out there like that has like a ghost hunting show or anything that you think to yourself, man, that this guy's just or this girl, they are just bonkers?
No, I haven't seen one yet. I think most of the shows out there are purely entertainment and exaggerated. There's one show that I see on YouTube that is really cool. It's called The Haunted Side, and I love these guys. They're awesome because they're just out there having fun. They're doing these ghost hunts, and they they hear a lot of things like, "Oh, did you hear that?" And they're great guys, and I think they're entertaining, but at the same time, I don't think they're causing a lot of stuff that's happening. Most of the shows out there are just mainly entertainment, man. I really do feel they're really entertaining. Some of the stuff is probably, I mean, most likely stage. I don't know. I don't want to talk smack about these shows, but yeah, I haven't seen anybody that's legit crazy out there, like that is like it's their mind doing the things or
Yeah.
like that. I haven't come across one yet, so not that I've.
And what's your balance on this between fun versus business? Like, how fun is this for you? How serious is this for you?
So, for me, when you're doing like old, hospitals, when you're doing, old buildings and historical buildings, that's the fun part. When people reach out and ask you to do something in their house, or they ask you, hey, we think my family member might be here or whatever, can you try to make contact? Initially, because you have people out there that'll make money off of this, man. No real paranormal investigator will ask for payment. They shouldn't.
Okay.
Donations, yes, donations welcome, of course. That's how we fund the trips to go places. That's how we buy the equipment. The equipment's expensive, man. The SLS camera I was talking about is like $500 alone here.
And what does that camera do?
That's the one that maps out people that aren't really there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But like, so the serious part is when someone asks you to go into their house, and you got to take it serious, man, because these people truly believe. And like I said, I'm a believer in ghosts, and I wouldn't be doing this if I wasn't. But some people ask you to go and try to find or make contact with their family members, and I automatically tell them like this isn't a proven science, and I need you to understand that I can't guarantee there is something in your house, and I don't want to say it is who you believe it is. Because in my mind, I also believe that there are demonic spirits. I believe that there are things that trick us to believing that they're a family member or whatever the case may be. So I don't guarantee them that they are going to find the answers that they want, but I'm more than happy to go into this house and set up equipment and run an investigation and see if there is anything out of the ordinary that's happening. First thing I'm going to check is, their electricity, when's the last time they had things going on, like their pipes, their plumbing, things like that could be causing, what they believe is a ghost. I eliminate all that going into it initially. And then from there, once there's no explanation to some of the things that we've seen there or that they've seen, then that's when we're like, okay, something crazy is going on here. But at the same time, like I said, you have to be sensitive to these things because, these people, they're looking for answers. They're looking for something to believe in that, and they want to feel good. They want to feel good that this family member is okay. Sometimes they want to know that, they're not being held, in limbo, And so you have to be real careful with that when you're going into a home. You don't ever promise things. You don't, guarantee that they're going to get the answers that they want. That's where you take it extremely serious. You got to be sensitive to their feelings, to their beliefs more than anything, and just let them know up front that, this is what it is, because you have some people out there that'll go in there and they'll say, oh, we're going to cleanse your house and we're going to get rid of the spirit. Dude, yeah. I'm sorry. I don't see how that's possible sometimes.
Uh-huh.
because you hear it tons of times, like, hey, we had a priest come in here and he blessed the house. Shit's still happening. We had, a medium come in and tell us it was this. And I'm like, I I just don't like meddling in those waters, man. I don't want to mess with people's emotions and feelings. And like you
Mm-hmm.
said, we just talked about, maybe it is a mental illness too. Maybe this
Mm-hmm.
person may be suffering from some things, and we're over here, adding fuel to the fire, saying it's this when they might actually need medical help. They might need a counselor, they might need this or whatever the case may be. And I'm not one to make that diagnosis, man. I'm not a doctor, so I
Yeah.
try my best to be very sensitive and very careful when it comes to house places and residential investigations.
How many episodes have y'all done of the Paranormal Journal?
We were going on two already, but the first one we just released, we're still trying to get more content, and believe it or not, it's really hard, man, because for the entertainment piece, we're trying to do more of, the old hospitals and places like that. But you'd be surprised, they charge an arm and a leg. They're expensive to get into these places, and then when you do have the cash, they're already like booked. But there's different places we're planning on going. We're going to go back to the first episode was at the Gunter Hotel downtown. So if you watch that episode, it was pretty cool. The hotel was super freaking cool with us, man. They let us explore and be real cool about it, as long as we didn't, do anything, illegal, which we didn't. But places to get into are really hard, man, and they're really expensive. So like the Yorktown Hospital, you're paying like $5 just to freaking get into there overnight. Yeah, man,
Wow.
you're looking at 500. There's places in other states that charge in the thousands, dude, like $4,000 sometimes.
And why do they charge so much? Like, what are they charging for?
Just for us to just have access to that building overnight to do a ghost hunt. And they know it, and they know it. It is a moneymaker. It's an old abandoned building. They leave it as is, and you sign a waiver, and you go in there and you do your investigation. And the funny thing is these places are pretty freaking active. I mean, you get a lot of results out of them, and they know that people are going to want to go and experience this. And it's kind of like buying a ticket to a theme park. You're going in there in your own amusement to have fun and do your investigation and try to see something that other people haven't seen yet or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. So for like mainstream movies of paranormal and supernatural stuff like that, which one would be your top favorite, and which one is like that's 100% bullshit? Like, what a waste of time type of thing.
They're all exaggerated, to be honest.
So
But
you're not a fan of those?
no, I love them. Oh, I love the movies. I just think they're exaggerated. So like one of the first ones that I saw, I think it was The Conjuring, because it followed Ed and Lorraine Warren, which were in my past, they were my idols as a ghost hunter. Like, oh my God, Ed and Lorraine, they're the ones who investigated, the Amityville Horror, the Annabelle doll, The Conjuring, whatever house. But when we first did it, when we first saw that movie, and I was like, holy crap, they do it the right way. They sit down and they interview the person, they ask the questions, maybe it's this, and they go and they actually try to debunk the whole house. I was like, you don't ever see that in the movies. They just come in and the ghost hunters are like, oh, this place, I feel a sense of evil and this and that. Like, no, that's not how it happens. Like, you go in and you actually try to do a scientific investigation first. But yeah, I think that was the closest one I saw when I first saw The Conjuring, where they sat down and they were interviewing the family and asking about certain things that have happened in the past and everything. I was like, okay, that's pretty legit. I was like, I've never seen where they actually do that in the movie. That was the first time I saw it. But then after that, it totally gets exaggerated, of course. So, but, there's no movies out there that I've seen that I've Hollywood that have actually kind of hit it nail on the head. If there is, and I'd love to see it, but I haven't come across one.
Yeah, I guess the ones for Hollywood, they kind of make it. They have to make it more
Yeah,
entertaining, so they
yeah,
can't do like the slow burns type of thing. To sit around and wait
yeah,
for the smallest sound type of thing.
yeah.
I
No,
guess
yeah.
that's not entertaining. Yeah,
No, and don't get me wrong. I love those movies. It's just that it ain't gonna happen. Like you're not gonna see the real way they do it, and that's what it was with our episode, our first episode. We had a little bit of the creepy music, and I talk in the subtle voice when we're going through the next phase. But overall, we were there from I'd say 6 p.m. all the way till I think it was like 8 a.m. the next morning in that room, conducting the EVP sessions and doing all that stuff, and we got 28 minutes of an episode. That's what we got, and that's with us even cutting out as much as we could to not make it boring, but still keep it interesting and keep it real to what we do and how we do it. So you can, and most people think investigations, when you go into a ghost hunt, you're gonna see things and hear things. You have to be optimistic, and you have to really want to see something, not expecting to see something, because half the time investigations are boring, man. You're just going to be sitting there waiting. You're just waiting for something to happen. EVP sessions, you're just asking questions and then taking your time, because how much can you really do in a room or a house you know, and without, you know, something happening, like nothing usually happens, to be honest. You have to, it takes several days of an investigation sometimes just to get some evidence.
So the EVP sessions,
Mhm.
that's what you're recording, and you're asking questions, hoping for a response.
Yeah. Electronic voice phenomena.
Electronic voice phenomenon.
Mhm.
What type of questions are you asking?
So, of course, once again, you want to keep them well rounded off. And so let's say there's a specific story or a ghost that you're trying to make contact with. It's almost seance like, you know what I mean? Because you're
Uh
trying to,
huh.
you know, make contact with something that's there. So when we were at the Gunter, the ghost, and we're talking about, I'll go back to this because you asked this question a little while ago about ghosts traveling and stuff. Um, when you're sitting there asking questions, you know, it's basically yes, no, you know, you want to see if you can get those kind of answers. The ghost that was supposed to be in that hotel room is either of the blonde woman that was supposedly murdered in that room because they never found a body. That's why I say supposedly,
Uh huh.
or the ghost of Walter Emmerich, the man who was supposed that murdered the woman. They believe he's still in the room because women keep getting attacked in that room. And he's a pretty violent ghost apparently. So, anyways, when you're asking these questions, you're wanting to say like, you know, am I speaking to Walter Emmerich? You know, is Walter Emmerich here?
Uh
You
huh.
know, did you kill that woman in this room? You know, things like that, because you're hoping to hear the yes, you're hoping to hear the no. What is your name? You're hoping to hear a name. You know, you want to be real specific so you can get those specific answers. Because, like I said, when you're talking about the radio frequencies, what if it picks up something like home run? You know, whatever the case may be. You're like, oh shit, that's what you know. So you're looking for those specific answers, so that way you can kind of, you know, uh, point out that was the answer that was given. You know, that's how you eliminate, you know, all the other possibilities that it was something else.
Yeah. How many? Like, what is the race breakdown as far as ghosts? Like, is it like just mostly white people are ghosts? Like, is
No,
there an ethnic
no, I
ghost?
mean that's the funny thing, and I've seen some memes, and I'm like, dude, exactly. Like people don't think about this stuff. You know, you have some of these shows where they're going to Germany, you know, and they're asking
Yeah.
questions in English, but it's an 800-year-old castle. Like, do you really think they were speaking
Yeah.
English?
They learned English by now, you know.
I'm looking for to hear nine or you know like something in there, you know, like yes or no, nine, you know, like something. I don't know, but like you see, I'm like, bro, like you're asking questions in English, like shouldn't you have like a interpreter there asking the questions?
That's funny, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they should they should be of all races, man. I mean, my dad used to take me to his friend's house back in the day. It was an older black man, a really nice man who had like almost like a little piece of farmland outside of the city, and he had horse stables, and apparently they had tunnels. They had underground tunnels where you know the slaves would escape from, and they were under the stables. And he would say that he would feel while he was in the stable or in his shed in the barn, he'd feel someone pushing him, like pushing him from behind or bumping him. There's nobody in that freaking room, and there was actually a tree outside where they used to hang some of the slaves. And he would see black people, you know, in the shed sometimes, you know, so obviously those are probably the slaves. So they come in all race, you know. I don't believe ghosts, you know, discriminate in any bitter way. So
Yeah.
they should come in all forms. The Manger Hotel, there's supposedly a maid, I believe, that was killed there, and I think she was a Spanish speaking maid. I gotta look more into the story, but you know, obviously, if we're gonna try to make contact with her, I'm gonna have my wife, because my wife's part of the team. I'm gonna have her speak because I don't speak a lick of Spanish. I wish I did, but I'll have her
Yeah.
ask questions in Spanish. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna look for those Spanish words. I'm not looking for English words or responses because she was a Spanish speaking maid.
Yeah.
Those are the things you got to go into because, like I said, I'm not going to go into a 800-year-old English castle and expect, or a German castle and ask questions in English, man. So yeah,
Yeah.
come in all shapes, forms, sizes, races, you know, whatever.
That's pretty funny. Uh, so how do you go into planning the episode? I mean, you work on several different projects.
Mhm.
You know, for the paranormal, how do you go about like blueprinting what an episode is going to be? Like, how much planning goes into that?
So being new to it, man, we basically say, okay, where can we go from it? So my brother's a really big help in that. So he's a partner with the show. He does this thing called Hasta la Muerte Chronicles. So he digs up all the history in certain places, and we find those places, and those are the places we're trying to investigate because they have some gruesome history behind it, man. So
Hmm.
what we
Also,
do,
your brother has his own thing too, like his
he has a
own.
page. Yeah, he doesn't have a show, but it's a page. It's a page, and in the episode, he's with us in the episode. He does the hunt with us there. So because he
Oh,
did this for a while too as well when he was younger. So it's funny that he did it. So he had told me he was starting his page while I was doing this. And we're like, well, dude, let's do it together. You know, you find the places and we'll investigate them. And he's huge at digging up history, man. And his page, look it up. It's Hasta la Muerte Chronicles on Facebook and Instagram. And he posts pictures, you know, the whole story behind certain things, the deaths that have happened, all that good stuff. So we partner with him and we see where we're going to go, where we want to go. And we basically map it out and say, okay, so like the Gunter, we knew Walter Emmerich was buried. We thought it's going to be a cool factor. He found out where he was buried, but his tombstone isn't even, his grave isn't even marked. So we're like, well, dude, let's start off the episode there. Let's go to the cemetery, say, hey, look, check it out. We got the map. We found out where his plot is. He's buried right here. You don't even know it because there's nothing here to identify him. And we'll talk about a little bit of his story, and then we'll transition to the hotel. And then from the hotel, we'll talk outside the room. So we're basically mapping out as we go. Once we're doing the investigation, it's kind of a free-for-all, man, to be honest. We know how we're going to start it and how we're going to end it, but everything in the middle is basically just us just going at it and doing a free-for-all. And then we post editing, we're just putting everything together after that and saying, okay, this looks cool, let's put this in there. Because like I said, we were there for hours, man, and only 28 minutes of footage was actually usable and wouldn't put anybody to sleep. So
yeah.
So it's basically just going as we go. So we map out as basically the beginning and the end, and everything else in the middle is let's see what happens, because we don't know what's going to happen, so we really can't map it out.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. One more question about the paranormal, and then we'll move on to something else.
Yeah.
You hear a lot of, well, I don't know where I get this from, but I've heard it several times that young kids, toddler age and all that, they're able to see things that adults can't see, as far as spirits, ghosts, stuff like that. What is that? Like, why is that a thing that young brains could see things that adult brains can't see?
Personally, I think their minds aren't closed off to everything around them at this point. So it's like one of those things where I feel, and like I said, and maybe there's a scientific explanation to it that I haven't heard or read about yet, but and this is one of those things that I always explained when I was younger too, when I did this first starting off, was, you know, our minds are so closed off to everything else. I mean, today, I mean, the one thing I was thinking of was like, oh, what am I going to eat for dinner today? Where are we cooking? I have to do this. I have to do that. And, you know, we're so closed off to the TVs, to our phones. Like, we're so just tunnel visioned on so many different things. You know, babies, kids, they ain't got to worry about shit, man. They're just like open-minded about everything, you know. There's nothing on their minds about color, gender, race. Like, their minds are just pure, like they're just open. And I think that kind of, you know, gives them the ability to see that. I think that's the ability, that because they don't know what they're looking at yet, you know. And I think they're just a little more open-minded to the world around them. And that's my own personal opinion. I don't know if there's scientifically been proven anything, but, you know, they say we only use so much of our brain at that, you know. I mean, maybe because their brain is still forming and you know, getting, you know, in tune with everything. Maybe that's why too. I mean, I really don't know, but that's always been my opinion, is that they're just more open-minded to the world around them instead of being so tunneled onto everything else.
Is there a term for that? Like, what is that called?
I have no idea, to be honest.
Yeah, because I mean, you hear that a lot of times. Like, a lot of kids will have stories like that of sightings. They see a figure, they see a person, they see a shadow and stuff like that. And obviously, I mean, they don't know. Like, it's too soon to know about lying in a way, you know. Yeah. So you kind of believe them a little bit more than somebody who would just try to convince you like that ghost sighting or something.
Yeah, like I said, their minds are just pure, man. They're still pure. They're not corrupted. they're still seeing the world for what it really is, instead of just being, you know, zoomed in on something else.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, how many babies do you have working for you?
I'm working on 3. The adoption baby didn't roll through yet, but
yeah. Cool, man. So when you're attacking the different projects, because like I said, you work on different things as far as filmmaking, writing, the paranormal, the fermentation sessions, all that stuff. What music is playing a role in each of these sessions, or are they separate genres, separate things that inspire you? Like, break down music, how it inspires you for each individual different project that you take on.
Oh, dude, yeah, no. I think we talked about this last time about filming, but when I'm writing film scripts, Depending on what genre I'm writing on, and a lot of times it's more of a dark piece that I'm writing, like El Baile. This is the one I'm doing right now. The story about El Camioncito here in San Antonio, where the girl snuck out and danced with the devil. That's the one I'm writing right now, and I'm working on. It's been a long piece in time, but when I'm writing that, the music I like listening to is I love this dark ominous music, but sometimes I love. Let's see. I'm trying to think. I'll listen to a lot, like since it's more of a Hispanic, Latino themed film, like the culture. I'll listen to a lot of that kind of music. And believe it or not, but I'll listen to a lot of the old school acoustic the guitar music that from our background. I'm trying to think. When I'm doing anything else, it's like I don't listen to like hard rock or anything like that. That's going to be too loud. I like something that's more mellow, something that's just going to keep me in that little, the tone of what I'm doing. For Paranormal Journal, I really don't listen to anything. I mean, driving into a place, I'm getting pumped up. I'll just listen to like just something that's more, driven, a little more loud, because I'm excited and I'm hoping to see something when we go into a ghost hunt. But yeah, it just depends on what I'm writing and what tone I want to feel. I try to match the score to what I'm writing. So like I'll listen to scores from different movies. So like the score from The Fountain, it was a Darren Aronofsky film, I believe. I'll listen to the score from that film when I'm writing something that's dealing with like angels and demons, something like that, just to give me that feel for what I'm writing. But at the same time, I don't want to, I feel like sometimes when you're listening to music from movies you've already seen, you kind of start writing similar to what that movie or film was because you got that in your head. So I just try to listen to a lot of stuff. Another one is there's this guy, Kevin MacLeod. He does royalty-free music. A lot of times we get some music from him, and you do the royalty-free music stuff on your projects, and he has a whole bank of different music scores, tones. It'll say you can do dark and ominous, you can do funny, you can do whatever, and I'll just play his clips down in a row when I'm writing, just because I like the way he does his music. So that's one of the things I do. It just depends on what I'm working on.
Yeah.
I can never plan it. I don't have like a specific playlist or anything.
Nothing to set the mood, nothing to set you like
No.
in a certain direction, just whatever you're feeling at that time.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. So thanks for doing this. Do you have shout outs, plugs again? Anything you want people to check out? Anything you want them to look up?
No, like I said, we just, like I said, we're getting back in the thing. We only had that before quarantine happened. Fermentation sessions is really cool. It's a really cool project. Local brewers, we're supporting the craft beer community. Support local businesses. So Isla Street Brewing Company, which is huge. They came out the Rojo beer. That was our first episode. We did it with them. They're a great group of guys. So check them out as well. But yeah, Fermentation Sessions TX on Facebook, on Instagram. Check us out on there. Check the Paranormal Journal out on Instagram. Check us out if you ever have any questions or want us to do an investigation. We're always open for that as well. We'll set some time up for you to do that. But yeah, Hypnotos Productions is on my YouTube page. That's where we have some of our projects, some of our short films that we've done in the past. So you can check that out as well. But yeah, that's basically it, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, man, it was fun. Thanks for doing this.
I appreciate it.
We'll check you later, everybody. Don't hang up, but I'm just signing off for everybody else.
So good.
All right, laters.